Hello everyone, Dr. Della here, and I just want to talk to you about my personal experience with COVID. I had COVID a few weeks back, and I know everybody has a different story, but I think it's important that I share mine because I used a lot of natural therapies and other therapies to help get me through. Now that I've really experienced the symptoms of my own, I feel like I can help coach people with the tips that I learned that really help me get through it in a healthy way. So this is my personal story, so take it for what it's worth. I first developed COVID. I was really tired, hard to focus on a project that I was working on for a couple days. I didn't think anything of it. And then probably that third day, I woke up with just an excruciating headache. And I'm someone who is just like, whatever, drink more water. I hardly ever will take Advil. But that morning when I got to work, I was like, man, like this headache is bad. So I took one Advil, which usually totally does the trick for me. By lunchtime, my headache was just still so bad. And I was like, I have the rest of the day of patience. And so I took 2 more Advil. That didn't even do really anything for the headache. Also, around lunchtime, I took a little walk around my parking lot just to stretch my legs. And my hips were just like, this pain was like deep inside my hips. I was like, man, did I like pull a muscle? Did I injure myself? Like, what in the world is going on? This like joint pain was like, So I came back up and I was actually stretching and stuff like that. Like, my low back really hurts. And by the end of my workday, headache was still there. Joint pain had actually set in even worse. And I was like, my back hurts really bad. At that point, I was like, okay, I think I have COVID. Like, this is like what I've heard, this deep ache. That night, so I went home. I immediately just felt like, just kind of like chilled. I didn't have a fever ever the whole time. But I felt like I just had chills. Everything hurt. So I just went straight to bed. All night long, I was just like writhing in pain. Like, I took, I think, 2 more Advil in the middle of the night. Still didn't really help. And before I went to bed, actually, I took a drug that you've probably heard about. It's called ivermectin. I had it on hand. And because I had a presentation that next day that I needed to be functioning for, and I felt so awful that first night, I went ahead and took a dose that night. My husband was like, well, I don't want to get sick. So he took a dose that night also. The next day I woke up 60% better, I would say. The joint pain was still there, slight headache. I had just like a little bit of congestion, but I felt like so much better than the previous night just from taking that one dose. So basically the rest of my story is that I did my supplement protocol, which I'll tell you what I did that really seemed to help. And for the remaining of the, next basically week and a half that I had to spend at home quarantining, I felt like I had maybe a little bit of a head cold, like a little stuffy nose. And I literally felt fine. I had energy. I would go for walks every single day. One day, maybe day like 3 or 4, I felt like, oh man, my lungs are feeling like a little bit of heaviness on my chest. And I was like, okay, I know the worst thing that you can do is lie flat on your back and rest and let things settle into your lungs to develop pneumonia. You have to keep moving. So I had been going on little walks every day because it just felt good to move. But I just actually went on I think I walked 2 miles that day, slow because I didn't have a lot of energy. But I was like, I need to be outside breathing fresh air, maskless also. Why would you wear a mask outside when you're outside alone, walking in your neighborhood, and there's so much like fresh air around you, the sun shining down, UV light kills the viruses. There's just to me, no reason to prevent my body from receiving the fresh air. And that is really what I went for that walk, and I felt so much better. So one of my tips is you have to keep moving. If you just lie in bed and say, oh, I'm sick, I just need to lie here, that's when things settle into your lungs and it can settle in, cause pneumonia, and then you can have worse and worse problems. You have to stay up walk around the block, whatever you can do. Even though your joints hurt, you have to do it. What's the alternative, right? So that was really important. Loss of taste and smell came a little bit, well, I don't know, probably, yeah, same thing, like day 4-ish. And it wasn't that I couldn't taste anything, but everything was pretty muted. So it was hard for me to drink water because it just was like, ugh, this doesn't, like water, it really tastes good anyways, but it was hard for me to get down water just because of the way my taste buds were altered. So I put an electrolyte pack. I use the Trace Minerals electrolyte packs. They have like 1 gram of real sugar, cane sugar. I prefer those. We have them here at the office, but I just put those in my water because it has vitamins, minerals, it has vitamin C in it, and it adds a little bit of flavor to the water. And so then I was able to like suck water down more, stay hydrated. So that was really important. Another thing that I did that I think was really important, that those first few days, I actually used an arnica spray. You can get arnica cream, whatever, but arnica really helps for that feeling of like almost like a deep bruise type feeling. And so I actually just took off my clothes and laid on the bed and had my daughter just like spray me with like arnica like all over my body and like rub it in, because it was like everything hurt, especially that first night. Like my feet ached, like every joint hurt. The arnica cream, arnica spray really helped that for me too. So those are my biggest tips: is keep moving, stay hydrated, put electrolytes in your water if it helps you stay hydrated, and that arnica spray was a lifesaver. Those things. I did continue to take ivermectin for 4 days total, just because I was like, well, I already started on this journey. Let's keep that going. I will say that my husband never tested positive. We just bought a bunch of home test kits so that I could see how everybody else in the house was doing. My husband never tested positive, never got any symptoms, and he took it for 4 days also. Supplements that I took. This is what I've been kind of telling all my patients that I've tested positive. It seems to be very helpful. It was very helpful for me. Definitely ask your doctor about any of these things. But I took vitamin C. I did 2,000 milligrams 3 times a day. I did quercetin. I did zinc and vitamin D. And then towards the end, because I was stuck at home and I couldn't get to the office to get any other supplies, I did start taking a product called Bronch Effect, which has some herbs in it to help with lung support. And I will tell you that even though I felt completely better, I was after my 10 days, I still had like just a little bit of like phlegm in the back of my throat, or just felt like some sinus congestion. And I started taking that, and that pretty much cleared up from taking that for only a couple days. So that is my personal experience. I will say that this drug that I'm talking about, I think could be, my personal opinion from my personal experience, is that it could be really change the direction of this illness for people, prevent it from going into a negative place. And I know there's a lot of talk about it. It is something I'm unfamiliar with the horse variety, but I know that I've heard people taking that. I don't know how to dose it. I don't know anything about that. So there are ways to get ivermectin. It's been studied. Humans have taken it. It's actually a drug for humans. It's not just a horse drug, even though that's being thrown out there. Has been taking it for 40 plus years, and it won the Nobel Prize. It's pretty safe. I would say that it's been shown to be extremely safe, in fact, but some common side effects are like nausea, dizziness. The one that I did experience, a little bit of itchy skin. So my skin was just like overall just a little bit itchy. Really not that bad though. It wasn't like something that drove me crazy at all. I just noticed like, oh, why am I scratching? Oh, that's one of the like common side effects. And then my eyes felt like a little dry, kind of like red and dry. Just, they weren't really red, but they just felt a little bit irritated. Also, not really a bad side effect, a little bit of Visine, and it was totally fine. So when comparing those little very minimal side effects to what I think was like a complete game changer at the beginning, I would recommend talking to your doctor and seeing if you can have that, if you were to come down with it, because like I said, we want to keep people out of the hospitals. And I think that if we were really intent on doing that the right way, we would be talking about this medication, because that's really what's been proven to be most successful at preventing people from having to go into hospitals and worsening of illness. So just wanted to throw out my experience, because a lot of people have been asking me what it's like. I'm 3 weeks out and I feel great. Maybe still like a tiny bit of lingering congestion, but still taking that bronch effect, and I feel totally fine. So granted, we know that people that are obese with other risk factors are going to have an even harder time. That's what all the studies are showing. So if you're in that category, you really want to be really aggressive about starting therapies right away, and definitely move. There are also studies showing that people that are the most sedentary are having the most negative outcomes. So you must move. That is so important when you get this, because it doesn't seem like it's setting into your lungs until it does. And being up and around is one of the best ways to prevent that from happening. So that is my story. Take it for what it's worth. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And I know a lot of us are getting sick right now, but I'm also very thankful to have received the immune update in a natural way. I think that everybody's going to have to get their immune system updated one way or another, because that's just what's happening on the planet now. We've got to update our immune systems to be here. So I am so happy that my body was able to do that naturally, and that's what I have to say about that. All right, talk to you later.